Good evening. Welcome to this press conference of Conmebol Copa America USA 2024. We have head coach Marcelo Bielsa of the Uruguayan national team with us. Before we start, please remember it is forbidden to live stream or record with your devices. You can download the press conference using the QR codes, and to ask a question, raise your hand, wait for the microphone, introduce yourself and your media outlet. Questions? Good evening. Lopez Moroita, Cuarembó, Uruguay. Congratulations, coach, on moving on to the next stage. Tactically, Uruguay played a perfect match. There were very little goal opportunities at the match, but they played very well. After Hernandez's expulsion of the field, of his sending off, Uruguay had something very different from other teams when they needed a result. Do you think you could win the Uruguayan style after that? Well, everything that happens Uruguayan style, because the players are the ones that give their all to the team. It was a match with very little goal opportunities, highly contested, very close, even with very little changes in ball possession. And when we were one man down, we decided to dedicate ourselves to defend in our half. But yes, we didn't have many second half goal opportunities. So holding to that result as the Uruguayan team did shows the profile of the Uruguayan football. And they were very calm to take on the penalty shootouts that does not only demand accuracy but also character. Tío Hochas Sports 890. Marcelo, I wanted to ask basically about two players that unfortunately left the field with some discomfort. I think Viña, he had a great first half, and Ronald Araujo. We wanted to know a little bit about their injuries and if they are at risk of not playing in the upcoming match. Well, in the case of Viña, it wasn't a muscle injury, but there was a level of wear down. And a wear down in particular of the back of his thigh. That is the step prior to a muscle injury. And in the case of Araujo, there is a muscle injury. I think that could be confirmed tomorrow or after the relevant medical examinations. Marcelo here on Alfredo Fasanelo for Chumbiar and Radio Oriental. First of all, congratulations and our appreciation on behalf of the Uruguayan people for placing Uruguay among the four top teams after so long. Why did Uruguay finish without one of its referent forwards when it seems that Uruguay needed a player like Darwin for the counterattacks? That is a good appreciation or statement that you are making, because when I made a substitution, I considered what you are saying. I considered that tactical option for the match, in particular because Darwin had created great opportunities, and I thought that their two center backs were the ones that were handling the ball, were managing it, and I thought that Arrascaeta was the right sub at that time. I think ideally we should have kept Darwin plus Arrascaeta on the pitch because he teams up very well with the center forward. At that time, having them both didn't seem feasible. Darwin was making a great effort, and it was starting to show that the energy levels were going down. In the case of Pelistri, the same thing was happening. And if you leave one player to counterattack and he's not able to do that, you're wasting that player. And I had a feeling that if we played with Darwin in the front without other players behind him to enable him and assist him, the ball wouldn't get to him. And I went for the alternative mistakenly, that maybe we were going to recover the ball and make the passes to save that situation of being one man down. Marcelo Álvaro Izquierdo, Fox Sports. Yesterday in the press conference, you told us that you expected a start and stop match, a closed match, and the first half was difficult with the two defenders that, and then with the red card for Hernandez. Maybe, did you expect that the first half would have more goal opportunities? It is tough to assess the situation. If you ask me if I'm pleased with creating 3 goal opportunities in 90 minutes, no, and we cannot overlook that. In turn, our opponent created only 2 goal opportunities, and comparison is a frequent tool in football. And it was a closed match, it was a tight match. There were very little offensive opportunities, and we had to run throughout the pitch to create those opportunities, and Brazil needed a little less than us. And I think that 3 opportunities in 90 minutes are very few. And in the case of Brazil, 2 opportunities in 95 minutes, 15 of which were played by Uruguay with one man down, was satisfactory to us. I cannot overlook that I am a bit more drawn to the offensive than the defensive game, but in a match that was as tight as this one, we created one more opportunity than our opponent, that we defended well, I think, and that we played for 15 minutes being outnumbered, and that shows at this level. Marcelo, good evening. Álvaro González, FM del Sol. Regarding what you were just mentioning about being more drawn to the offensive game than the defensive game, and the matches played by Uruguay against Argentina and Brazil for the qualifiers, it kept a clean sheet. Does that provide for an assessment in particular by the opponents? There was a Uruguayan coach that said that during my participation in the Uruguayan football, I would learn how to defend on the pitch. And that is true because Uruguay is very consistent in its defense. That was a statement of a former Uruguayan coach. It played against Mexico, the USA, and Brazil. So you can draw conclusions, and it kept a clean sheet. So I do think that defensively, not because I achieved it, but because the players are inherently good at defending, we have to say that they are very good at keeping a clean sheet. Marcelo Penoso, Radio Uno, today you played against one of the powerhouses in South America. Maybe in the group phase, the opponents didn't have the same level, but in a couple of days, you'll play against Colombia. What is your take on the future opponents? In effect, playing against Brazil was very significant to us. Sometimes when you play against opponents that are inferior to Brazil, it leads to less important results. And of course, the match against Colombia will be as demanding as this one today because it is a team that has evolved greatly from one match to the next. Coach Carolina Aguirre from Latinos, following up on my colleague's question when it comes to Colombia, what did Uruguay learn today that could be a carryover to the next match? Because Colombia has just hammered Panama 5-0. Those interpreting or analyzing Brazil's offense, or the offense in Brazil today was led by Rafinha, Endrick, Paquetá. Paquetá subs, even if they didn't have Vinicius today, then Martinelli, the left-footed player that played on the right flank. They are very important forwards. And Colombia also has high quality forwards and high quality players. But we believe that we are in a good shape to play at the same level against any opponent. Today, in certain segments of the game, we were superior than Brazil, and they were superior to us in other areas of the match. So when we were one man down, we really stuck to keeping the clean sheet, and we believe in our possibilities. Marcelo, Radio Cristal, we're going live. When the shootouts came, were those the players you would have chosen, or do you trust what the players feel at the time? Yesterday, you said that this was a cultural phenomenon in addition to being a sports. And what, from that standpoint, what does this victory mean to the Uruguayan people, to you? Well, I think that you are in a better position to assess that meaning because I am a foreigner and that limits the scope of my conclusions. I hope that it was a very joyful victory. And what was the first part of the question? Oh, the penalty takers. In this case, well, we practiced during yesterday's training and we drafted a list from the better suited until the less suited for the shootouts, and we chose those that were on the top of the list. We know that Arrascaeta and Bentancur are great kickers and penalty shooters. Marcelo, good evening. Gabriel Regueira for Carro Deportivo. We are going live. We always talk about the Darwin's goals, the Pelistri's runs, and Araujo. But I think that today everything goes to Tino Rochette, our goalkeeper. He saved a great shot, and we saw him with some notes. Did he study much? And also, he, I think, affected the confidence of the Brazilians by saving the first penalty. I would not know about the studying, but I do agree with your analysis on the fact that he had a major role. The first half save was not easy, and at this level, we have a certain idea on how each individual talent can shoot a penalty in the opponent and vice versa. But that doesn't define if the opponent will find the net or not, or if the goalkeeper will save the shot or not. Some things are impossible to affirm. Juan Pablo Romero, Diario País de Ovación. It might seem that you prioritized in these 4 matches operation and performance over resting time, taking into account what you pointed out about the down of Viña. I didn't say that he was tired. I just said that there was some level of wear down for the discomfort in the back of his thigh, but that wasn't due to a generalized wear down. Well, given the 3 midfielders, is that a topic of concern given the few days that you will be able to use to rest, to recover for the starters, the usual starters? Well, that is an option or a possibility that we cannot overlook. It is important to point out that there is a season that started in August and finished in June. That is the European season. There is an accumulation of between 50 and 60 matches per player. And those players then come to this tournament where they have to play twice a week. Every player coming from elite leagues or teams in Europe play twice a week. After playing twice a week for 9 months, playing twice a week in month 10 or in month 9, that type of effort is a different thing. So there was one match in which the Uruguayan team ran the most in September. That was in a qualifier against Chile. After players played 4 matches. Now they have already played between 40 to 50 matches. Well, we're talking about those that come from European clubs and South American football. Well, they play twice a week, but in their case, the season starts in March or February, so there's a lesser incidence. But that is different for every player. This is just something that I'm generalizing to draw some conclusions. Eugenio Salinos, Radio Bio Bio, in Qatar, where Uruguay was eliminated, the people asked for a modification. The last September, you were already making those changes, but you were met with a certain level of reluctance in Uruguay. I would like to know if you feel you are one of the ones that achieved that change. Can you also share with us how you experienced this match today emotionally? Well, today there was a great level of suspense, and you know how suspense works in human beings. When it is impossible to foresee how you can solve situations, it leads you to explosive emotions, and I am also vulnerable to it. I'm no exception. When you work at the level of a national team, there aren't many opportunities to generate renovations or transformations in the team. And this is a special period of time because we have been working together for 40 days. If you're asking about the relevance of the changes, if or what had a greater weight, if the changes I made or the profile of the players, I think the profile of the players to define the team is what prevails. Thank you very much. This is the end of the press conference for the Uruguayan national